Karen Cavett, and this is Handmade. So you might know that I am a little bit obsessed with my message board. These are super trendy right now. I got mine for only $10, and it's literally like the best $10 I've ever spent. But here's the thing. It came with all of these letters to spell out your message, but sometimes there aren't enough letters to spell out the message that I want to say. Or sometimes I just want to get creative with other fonts or other shapes. So today I'm going to show you how to make your own message board letters. I have a bunch of different ideas for how we could go about doing this. So let's experiment and find out which one works the best. So as I said, I'm making these letters for my message board. If you're not familiar with these, each letter is on a different clear rectangle, and the board has an on and off switch to light up. So the secret for this project is clear craft plastic. The sheets that I have are 12 inches by 12 inches that have a film on top, where once you peel it up, you end up with perfectly clear plastic. To cut it down, instead of bothering with measuring it out, I'm just going to use one of my existing letters and mark the height with a marker. We're doing this on the film that'll be peeled off, so you can draw all over it without worrying about seeing the marks on the final product. Then use either a craft knife or scissors to cut it down. A craft knife gives you a more precise line, but scissors are definitely faster. After that, mark the width of the letters and cut them out the same way. Now is the fun part, peeling off all of the film. Once you've done that, you have a bunch of blank plastic rectangles ready to put your letters on. But before I do that, I also just wanted to mention that if you don't have plastic sheets like these, you can also use any clean, flat plastic container from your recycling. Just trace the rectangles the same way and cut them out, and that works just as well. So let's talk about that marker I'm using. This is an oil-based paint pen. You can see how it leaves a rich, opaque layer of paint on the plastic, whereas every other marker that I tried is kind of transparent or kind of purple. Definitely not as nice as the paint pen. So to use a paint pen to copy an existing letter, you can just tape it down on your table and simply start tracing. Once you have the shape on there, place it onto the message board with the light turned on to fill in any areas that you missed. One downside to the paint pen is that it is hard to get precise corners. For this letter, I tried masking off the entire thing with washi tape, which worked, but it definitely took a while to do. However, the paint pens work really well to do more organic shapes, like the heart that I'm tracing here with a pink paint pen. I also used the paint pens to trace this text in the font Cooper Black, which worked really well, and it's definitely a more unique look for the lightbox than using the standard letters. The thing that I love about the paint pens is that you get a bunch of colors in one box, so you can trace literally anything that you can print from the computer or pull up on your phone. Here I'm tracing some emojis, and they add a really fun pop of color to the message board, and they're really quick to make. Speaking of quick, the fastest method to make your own letters is to use letter stickers. Since the letters are already cut out for you, you just have to press them down, and then you're done. However, the downside to this is that you're limited to the stickers that you have, So if you need more of a certain letter, you have to go buy a whole new pack of stickers. And buying stickers can get expensive if you want to make a bunch of different types of letters, but you can mix and match them to get a playful effect, or you can add some sparkle super quickly with glitter letter stickers. Alright, finally, the third method that I want to show you uses black contact paper. It has a backing, so you can print and cut out your letters to trace onto the back, and then cut them out from the contact paper. And it's much easier to get sharp corners than it is with the markers. If you don't have contact paper, you could also use chalkboard tape, which is similar in that it also has a backing. However, I found that the chalkboard tape that I was using was a little more gray than the black original letters, so it's kind of obvious if you try to mix them in, but if you make a whole set out of just the chalkboard tape, then you can use those with each other and it'll look totally fine. But another method to use the contact paper is to print out your design backwards, scribble on the back with a pencil, and then go over all of the outlines with a ballpoint pen. When you pick up the paper, you can see that you'll have transferred your design. Just use a craft knife or scissors to cut it out and place the letters onto the plastic. And of course, if you have a die cutting machine like a Cricut or a Silhouette, you can run the contact paper through that to get perfectly precise letters cut out by a machine. I just prefer not to use those because I know that they're expensive and I know that not everyone has access to one. So one downside of the contact paper is that if you want to add color, you have to buy a whole new roll, which can get expensive. I also found that cutting out complicated letters by hand took longer than drawing them with the markers. But if you want those really precise corners for a font like this, contact paper is probably the best way to do it. So I hope you all liked seeing all of those ideas for how to make your own message board letters, whether you just need to make some extras of existing letters, or if you want to experiment with other fonts and colors and illustrations. I feel like this opens up a whole new world where you can make unlimited amounts of fonts and emojis and shapes out of anything that you can cut or draw. If you want to make your own message board, Marianne actually posted a DIY video a little while back showing you how to do that, so I'm gonna link that right down below. I would love to know in a comment if you have jumped on board the message board train, or what is the best thing that you've ever seen written on a message board. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.